what a time to actually be a part of this game. Remember Wakka and Aerith? Remember how these characters were essentially just not good for a majority of their lifespan? Aerith had an okay rework in Level 70 Awakening upon her EX debut, but it was still nothing all that spectacular. She wasted too many turns, she didn't really do too much damage. What she offered to the party was easily outclassed fairly quickly. But it's crazy to see how just a simple EX plus, one that doesn't really even do all that much for her, actually makes her much better. And Wakka's never gotten much love. Even when he got his Level 70 Awakening, which was relatively recent, and his EX, it didn't have its EX plus, so no one had really any reason to use Wakka. Even for a majority of the early game, Wakka had some uses and then immediately fell off. But here we are with the Ultimate Diabolos Trials gracing us with these two's appearance. Real quick, though, the Sabin and Kuja banner, unless you are fans of the characters and have missed out on the previous time that they have dropped, I would honestly avoid that banner. They're two characters that are already immediately outclassed by a current cast of very good DPS units that we already have. Kuja, I will say, has a super bright future ahead of him, as he has probably one of the most absurdly broken burst in LDs that we have in the future. But that's much, much later down the road, and to be quite honest, I don't really think that's enough to warrant pulling for him now, and especially when there's a much better time to pull for him when there are many of EXs to pull for on a banner when he drops then. So definitely avoid that banner. I wouldn't really do too much of it, unless you want to toss maybe a few tickets to see if you can get out of the characters, but that's pretty much it. This banner, though, however, well, let's go ahead and talk about that. We're going to actually start off with Wakka. There will be a minor cut, as there was just a little bit of issues recording, and for whatever reason I didn't catch this while I was doing it. But, as always, I would love to give a huge shout out to the Tonberry Troop for the lovely infographics that will be displayed in this video. I will be showing them up on the side of the video, as usual. If you are not following them on any of the social media platforms that I am currently aware of, such as their Facebook and Reddit, I do highly recommend go checking them out, because they are a lovely batch of people who are very helpful to the community and provide us with these incredible infographics. So with all that being said, go check them out. They are a wonderful group of people. Get Wakka out of the way, mostly because the information is still fresh in my mind as I have just read it. But Wakka actually becomes an all-around incredible support character. He has auras that rival the likes of Rosa, and I've had Soul DFFOO, which is a phenomenal DFFOO YouTuber, which you should go check out. He actually described Rosa as being a stiff support, and honestly, after seeing Wakka's kit and experiencing the friend unit myself, I honestly understand why. With auras and everything practically rivals Rosa's herself, Wakka has a much more flexible kit in terms of it has battery, it has all-around buffs and auras that apply to himself to boost up his own damage. He has an awesome EX plus buff that can actually be put onto the party. Now, I say can because there's a chance. The thing with Wakka's kit, unfortunately, is that his second skill, Great Daring, which actually is a huge brave battery that is supplied to the party, actually only has a 90% chance to inflict any of the four buffs that Wakka gains itself. The attack one being 120%, which is the most important one. That being a 90% chance, you might think that's a relatively high chance. Most of the time you'll get it, but hey, that 10% chance can shine through in times where you might need it. Now, luckily, though, really quickly talking about Wakka's EX Plus, it does give him all of these buffs at the beginning of the quest, allowing him to actually have it, and the only time you really use Great Daring is to try and refresh it. I would recommend waiting until it has about 2 or 3 turns left to try and refresh it then to really get the most out of it. But then you're using a skill that only has 6 usages in order to get it going. His EX, though, however, is a 3-hit single target HP attack that is executed 4 times. That's crazy. Amidst of all of that, he with his EX Plus It has a huge Brave gain, along with the stat bonuses that he gains regardless. The damage will now be AoE with split damage going to all enemies. And a 60% chance of his frame debuff actually going onto the party. He himself will automatically get that frame debuff, frame buff. I keep saying debuff. His frame buff, which is a 40% attack increase with a 20% overflow increase. This, having the opportunity to be transferred to the entire party, is useful, but 60% is something to not really rely on too heavily. It's nice when it happens, but Wakka is still serviceable to the party without it, considering that all of his auras are absolutely incredible. And his dark attack will actually inflict a 2-turn blind, which has a 50% chance of the enemy missing, which is pretty sick. Again, it's not something to rely on. Do not count on this to save your ass if needed, but it is nice when it does happen. He also gets access to an HP attack plus that batteries the party and executes a single target HP attack. All in all, Wakka gets probably one of the most impressive reworks that I have seen. The character, much like what Holt did, Wakka got a ton of love in the forms of incredible utility, Brave Battery all around, incredible auras. He gets some of the most sizable attack buff that I've ever seen on a character with 120%, which is insane. It's just, the only real con to Wakka, though, is that obviously he has his usual cons. If they resist what he does, don't bring him. But he also still kind of doesn't really hit all that hard. Most of what Wakka does is actually supported by Brave gains, which is pretty cool. But his EX doesn't really get the Brave gain until afterwards, so you're mostly just then relying on straight hits. And even then, the potencies are pretty okay at best. Wakka, even with his attack buff, isn't really doing all too that much crazy damage. That's perfectly fine considering the incredible support that he covers. He doesn't need to be. Just do not let that attack buff go away, because then Wakka is dead weight on the team and will hit once. Like, I've seen it happen. Even the master himself, QE, has talked about this consistently and plenty of times. Do not let that attack buff go away. If you let that go away, oh boy, will Wakka suck. Also, another big con of Wakka is debuffing type enemies. This can be mitigated if you bring debuff evasion, but however, solely just for the fact that Wakka needs his attack buff to really be doing anything all that crazy. If they counteract that attack buff with their debuffs to themselves, or they push it off, or if you have party members that actually push off this buff by accident, then Wakka is in trouble. So Wakka doesn't necessarily fit on too many team comps, especially those of really buff heavy characters, because they will push off his own buffs. That in of itself can be an issue, because a lot of buff heavy characters are really trying to help out the whole party, but in the end up screwing over Wakka. So you really want to make sure you're putting him alongside of other aura-based characters, or other characters that don't really supply that many amount of buffs to the party. That in of itself is the most important part when playing with Wakka. You want to make sure that you're popping him in the best team comps that you can find that support him himself. That way he can support you much better. All of this, even though Wakka can be a little bit of a chore to really fit onto a proper team, I do 100% believe that Wakka is important for the Chaos era. Having auras that rivals probably still one of the best aura-based characters in the game, Rosa, and just a plethora of Brave Battery, the Dark Attack Blind comes in clutch, tons of Brave Battery. I'm just going to keep saying that because it is impressive, and the fact that he can inflict a pretty potent attack buff with his EX, albeit while you shouldn't rely on it, and it's nice when it happens, is still incredible. Wakka really fits fairly well too alongside of characters such as Freya, who is going to be another good one, and other aura-based characters such as Rosa herself. So I definitely do think Wakka is important for the Chaos era. Very powerful, very good stuff. Just make sure you're using him in his proper form. That way you're not you're not slaughtering the man, because if you slaughter him, you're going to slaughter yourself, which is unfortunate. But work around it, and Wakka's incredible. Definitely 3 out of 3 him. You want access to everything that he has to offer. This way, Wakka is doing everything he can for you. Next up is the best girl in all of Final Fantasy. I got my dukes up right now. I'll fight anyone on that. This is the best girl in all of Final Fantasy. Let's go. Bring it on. Aerith actually received a very minor touch-up, as all she got was an EX+, as she received a level 70 and rework prior to this release. What does this EX+ do? It gives her access to pretty much her ancient lineage is now a party-wide buff, which is cool. She gets access to an HP attack plus, which is a 3-hit heavy brave game single target DPS move, as well as her EX will inflict a 3-hit single target HP attack afterwards when upon use. It has potency increases in the brave gains. It has increased brave overflow. Then it applies to herself and the party, which is really cool. And that's practically it. Yeah, that's it. Yes. Yeah. So, with all that said, which wasn't really all that much, how is Aerith with the Chaos Era? Aerith, unfortunately, I'm just gonna come right out and say it, is still outclassed by a few specific support characters. And mostly just because if you have those other specific support characters, such as Porum or Beatrix, there's really not much of a reason to scoop Aerith up. Mostly just because they do the job. They do what she's supposed to do. Aerith does supply some really heavy heals to the party, as well as some really good auras, and she fits on literally just about any team. You know, if you have other characters that can fulfill this role, and not really too much of a reason to do so. So, with that said, is she important for the Chaos Era? No, not by any means, but considering the upgrades that she got, considering that she can now actually utilize the amount of turns that she takes, that she has high turn rates on both of her abilities. Unfortunately, she still doesn't dump HP Brave after using either of her abilities, which will slow down your turn count. She does move quickly and can actually utilize an HP attack plus that can get the job done, so you're using her abilities a lot less often than you would like, which is pretty cool. Aerith fits on just about any team and will actually get the job done for you, but like I said, if you have characters that pretty much does what she does, then you know, there's not really too much of a reason to pull for her. But she fits on just about any team. She has incredible heals, really good. She actually has pretty solid single target DPS now, and all around is a great character. But like I said, I digress. I've said it too many times. If you do choose to build up Aerith, though, however, I would recommend the 3 out of 3, only because it gives her access to the HP attack plus. You want that for Aerith in order to play her. And also, everyone do keep in mind that Aerith is one of the cursed 6. So, with that being said, the way you're using her and her longevity will ultimately be affected by how much you efficiently grind out her artifacts. I do recommend focusing more so on Prayer of the Cetra, because that's what keeps her main buffs up and going, but you want to try and get a good combo of the two. But anyways, that'll pretty much wrap it up for this one. Aerith, not so much important as other characters can fulfill the role that she supplies, but is still a great character. And Wakka, I do believe, is important for Chaos Era, as he brings unparalleled, well, I can't say that because we have Rosa, but he has phenomenal auras and some really good utility that can fit on proper team comps. And that'll pretty much wrap it up for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. And I would also like to mention really quick, as I'm trying to sell myself out, I did upload my very first Smash Ultimate montage, and I would love for your guys' feedback. I was going to make a whole separate video on this, but I'm just going to add this really quickly here in the end. I would love your guys' feedback, so let me know in that video or on this one, whichever one you would like to comment on. I had a ton of fun making it, and I do plan on doing a ton more because I had an overall blast. But I would love to improve, love to get your guys' inputs and everything. So let me know what you guys thought about that down below in the comments, and go give that a check out if you would ever be so kind. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.